Hello, welcome everyone. Good morning for those of you in Europe and good afternoon for the people hearing us in China. So today we have a EU SME Center webinar on the smart metering and the smart grid in China. China initiated the development of the smart grid in 2009 and has since become the biggest investor in the development of the smart grids and smart metering, as well as the biggest market for associated technology and services in the world. So today we have Mr. James Lau as an expert in the field, and he will give a presentation on the matter. But before we start with the webinar, I'd like to just give you a brief introduction of the EU SME Center. But before that, we will go through technicalities of the webinar. You can see now a slide on showing how the webinar works. You have a console. You can ask questions to us. We will encourage the people who want to ask questions that they need to register in our website. You have the link there. So if you want to ask any question, you can freely register and we will answer during the webinar or after it through the email. So a little bit about the EU SME Center. We are a project fully funded by the European Union. Our objective is to help European SMEs to get ready for China. We support them in their exports into China and also in establishing, develop, and maintaining commercial activities. We provide free confidential information and advice and practical support services. Our knowledge is divided in 4 blocks: business development, legal, standards and conformity assessment, human resources, and training. In the information and advice, we reply to your inquiries through our Ask the Expert section. We have over 80 publications, from reports to guidelines, case studies, and we do training like seminars both in Europe and in China. We do webinars like today, and we have available few databases, including an exhibition database, a legal database, and a service provider database, companies offering services to other companies here in China. On the support services, we highly recommend the hot desk. You can stay here with us at the physical location at the EU SME Center in Beijing. You can stay with us for a maximum period of 2 weeks. You can use our facilities, our meeting rooms. You can get in direct contact with our experts. We also organize briefings and matchmaking and networking events both in Europe and in China. So about the speaker, Mr. James Lau is the founder and CEO of GSL Consulting. He has been active in China's utility industry for more than 25 years and has held managerial positions both domestic and international companies. For example, in Siemens Metering China and ABB China, where he gained considerable experience in general management, sales, marketing, and establishing joint venture companies. Since the establishment of GSL Consulting, he has assisted many international companies with their market entry in China. He holds a degree in management, power system, and automation. GSL is a company that was established 12 years ago, specialized in utility metering, smart grid industry, electricity, water, gas, and heat, and offering advisory services as well as conference and exhibition event management and metering in the industry media services. So welcome, James, and please go ahead with the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Javier, for the briefing on my work. I think the speech about the metering, smart metering and smart grid in China is to provide the general picture about the development status and today and tomorrow about the whole industry, and particularly in smart grid and smart metering. And in the following, I will provide you first of all, the general industry development. I think before we go into the details about smart grid, I will mention that the overall development of the total installed power generation capacity. From these slides, you can see that in the past 3 years, from 2011 to 2013, the annual growth rate of the total generation capacity is 8 to 9% average in the past 3 years. So from the average growth rate, that wind power is growing faster, around 30%, and nuclear is 10%, and hydro is 9%. And in the following slides, you can see that the constitution of the total installed generation capacity in the year 2013. From here, you can see that the wind power, nuclear power, and hydropower growth rate. So the wind power is growing faster compared to the previous year, 2012, and the nuclear power is the second, and hydropower is the third. In the meantime, I think you should also have a picture about the total electricity consumption in terawatt hour for the past 3 years. The growth rate of the total consumption averagely in the past 3 years, 8.2%. Of the total growth rate, you can see that the household, the residential areas grows around 10%, and the tertiary industry is 11.8%, and the secondary industry segment is around 7.6%. And the primary industry is the lowest, around 1.5%. Okay, to see the specific year in 2013, as you can see that the secondary industry in the year 2003 is occupying the biggest percentage, around 73%. Meanwhile, the growth rate of the household and tertiary industry also developing very, very fast, around 12 to 13%. I know in European countries that the household segment, the percentage is around 20%. So in here that the primary segment is 2%. Okay.
So James, thank you. Before we continue with the presentation, I would like to launch a poll for our audience to get a little bit know more about what are their plans in the Chinese market. So the question will be like, if do they have a plan to enter the Chinese market? And we have 4 potential answers. First one, no, it's too difficult. Then yes, we are considering it. Yes, but probably in the midterm. And finally, yes, we are in the Chinese market already. So please, I would like to ask our audience to vote, and let's see the results in a minute. So I'm going to close now the poll and launch the results. So as you can see, James, like all the companies are already in China, close to 70%, and if not, they are really planning to do it. And yeah, some of them are also considering it. Okay. So yeah, I think we have an audience with quite a lot of experience in the sector.
Okay, thank you. In the last 4 slides, I gave you the general picture about the power installed power generation and also the total electricity consumption. So following, I would like to give a brief introduction about the milestones of the Chinese power industry. The Chinese state power industry actually broken up on the December 29th in 2002, and the purpose is to separate the power plants from the power network. And in the meantime, the state set up 5 power generation group companies and 2 power grid operators. The 5 after the setup of the 5 generation group companies, each of them own less than 20% of the China market. And after setup of the 2 power grid operators, they are now independent state power grid corp of China. We call it SGCC, and China South Power Grid Company Limited, CSG. So we say that the completion of the restructuring of the China power industry in 2002 was a milestone in China power industry. So when we see the industry, actually it's very important to see how the industry is organized and how they are structured. So this is the general administrative structure of China power industry. Just from the recent time in the beginning of this year, the structure is clear that the toppest administration is the China National Development and Reform Commission. Under that, China National Energy Board, we call NEB, supervisory body to oversee China power industry. Under this energy board, there are 5 power generation group companies, also 2 power grid companies, which is State Grid Corp of China and South China Power Grid Company. I can mention here the SGCC. There are totally 26 provincial power grid companies. In South China Power Grid, there are 5 provincial power companies.
Sorry to interrupt you again, James, but talking about these companies, I assume they are all state-owned companies. So these are companies belonging to the government. And do you think it's also for the companies, for the SMEs, is a good way to try to connect with these companies, to try to talk with the companies directly, or is better to do it through the government bodies?
Yes, the power industry now is, we can say, more than 1998 to 1999, state-owned. So for the new companies, for business point of view, they need to contact the state power grid or South China Power Grid. Under the power grid company, there are power supply material procurement companies, which is sub-companies of the State Power Group. Also, there are some manufacturing companies under the State Power and South China Power. For new companies, I think they need to contact them first to find whether they can have access or not.
Thank you, James.
Thank you. After that, I will talk about the particularly in smart grid development and the status. In China, actually, the state power mainly started the research and development from 2008. Actually, in the second half of 2008, so they determined to initiate the smart grid deployment in China. And they divided the development of smart grid development in China that by 3 stages. The first stage is planning stage with pilot development, which is from 3 years from 2009 to 2011. In this stage, mainly focus on developing smart grid strategies, layout planning, carrying out technical managerial standards, and pursue key technology research and development. Also, they constructed many pilot projects. The second stage, they call full speed of building smart grid, which is from 2012 to 2015. In this stage, the main focus is to speed up construction of ultra high voltage power network and distribution systems, and initially form the system of a smart grid operation and interactive services. And the third stage, they call leading and upgrading stage, which is from 2016 to 2020. So the focus on that stage is to complete the construction of China so-called strong and smart grid. This is the general planning and scheduling for the smart grid deployment. Following that, I would like to give you the general picture about the smart grid pilot construction in SGCC. From this map, you can see that the state grid has implemented a big round of construction of smart grid demonstration project covering all service areas. This map of this demonstration project showed you the total 3 groups of pilot project in 21 categories, or around 228 items. So the pilot project covered in all provincial level, totally 26 provinces. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, James. I think for the audience it will be interesting to know more about these pilot projects, and especially how it is possible for them to try to know more about these projects and try to get the contacts to try to get into these pilot projects.
Okay, thanks. I think this is a good question. In China, actually, the power industry are still a very monopoly industry, and the for new companies are not easy to enter, but they still have some kind of channels to reach the customers. I think in the SGCC, they can either contact the provincial power company and state power. Under the state power, they have the so-called power supply material procurement sub-companies, and they call tenders every quarter. They can contact them first to register and to find if they can be invited to participate in the bidding project, or they can also contact the sub research institute like China APRI or NARI. I think they can try to find a breaking point and to see the possibility. Of course, that depends on what kind of product. For metering product, probably they also need to get approval for type testing or some kind of entry limit by talking with China APRI first.
Okay. Thank you very much, James.
This page shows you the general information about the first phase and second phase pilot project. From the first row is the general information about the first phase pilot construction. As you can see that in the first phase, the pilots covered all area basically, including generation, transmission, also distribution, consumption, also dispatching areas. In the second phase of the pilot construction, you can see some different projects they implemented, such as the Sino-Singapore Tianjin Eco City Smart Grid demonstration. Actually include a lot of things. Also include the smart home and smart metering inside. Also another one is the integration of distributed PV generation and microgrids operation and control. In the second phase, you can also see that some kind of smart community and buildings pilot project, which is also popular in SGCC. And this slide shows you basically the third phase of the pilot project. In here, they proceed different areas such as new generation substations, micro demonstration project, including around 14 pilot projects, which also include different voltage level, different capacity. In the meantime, in the third phase, they also test smart operators and also smart home demonstration project.
James, I have a question for you. You show us the overview on these third stages. So we are now in the second stage, and we are about to enter into the third stage. So I wanted to know, like, what's your opinion? What's your view? Is really the government implementing these ideas, these projects on time? They're on a schedule. So you think it's a reality, this plan?
I think for the pilot project is as scheduled, basically. And in general, that's the initial investment just for pilot projects. I think in the further stage, the utilities will invest more. And by the pilot projects, they get lots of experience, and they also will use these experiences in the further projects. Yeah.
Thank you, James.
Following, I would like to mention the general investment plan for the coming years. On this chart, you can see that in the past 2 years, the investment level from 2012 and 2013, and this year is a little bit higher than last 2 years. And next year, probably they will only spend the left amount after the past 4 years in the 12th five-year plan. And the about investment analysis, as you can see that the $57 billion for year 2015 is the outcome of my analysis is the average of the past 3 years. In the 13th five-year plan from 2016 to 2020, which is based on the total planned $280 billion for the 13th five-year plan. And I assume that each year investment are equally $56 billion. And this amount of investment basically are for smart grid construction.
Sorry to interrupt you again, but before we continue, I would like to ask another question to the audience. So I would like to launch another poll, and the question now is: we would like to know in which area with CERSTOR are they're more interested. So you can see the possible answers are smart metering, billing, advanced meter infrastructure, or electric vehicles. And then second possibility is smart distribution and control systems. And then C, like other areas in a smart grid. So we will let the audience to keep on voting, and we will share the results with you shortly. So last few seconds before we close. Okay, so now we will share the results with the audience. As you can see, it's pretty well distributed, so we have a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the slides give you the picture about the key investment areas. As you can see that the total investment are mainly for smart grid development. In the past 5 years, actually, this SGC invests a lot in the high voltage especially ultra voltage power grid. So there is a trend that in the coming years, the SEC will mainly invest in the distribution area, in the renewable energy area, and also in utility and in the utility consumption and segment. So following are main areas that they plan to invest, including the renewable energy generation, transmission, distribution equipment, online status monitoring systems, smart dispatching technology support system, smart substation, smart distribution system, EV charging and discharging station facilities, smart electricity consumption service, fiber optical connected to home, user data collection system, we call also including AMI system, smart community application and promotion system, also include smart home, smart building solutions.
Yes, before you continue, James, I'd like to also explain for the audience, for people living in Europe, they don't have the opportunity to experience here. So I think this is now the situation is a little bit different from Europe, where it's very common that your electricity bill is directly addressed to your bank. But in contrast, in China, usually you rely on a card, and then you have yourself to check for the electricity so it doesn't run out, or you will be advised by the UE, the service in your apartment or your building. So, and I think the trend is going to be similar to what we're experiencing in Europe. Is that correct, James?
Yes. Actually, I have visited several of the smart home pilot project and smart community pilot project. In the project design, actually, they have designed the so-called smart community systems, and they have established a platform very advanced with very advanced concept. In the smart community and smart home project, that as you can see that they integrate that the network communication, home security, intelligent home appliance, property services, and also including the community services and other added value, etc., into one system, and they can provide lots of services, including that, as you mentioned, the billing and payment for the energy consumption, such as electricity, water, gas, and also in the future probably also include heat consumption. Actually, this is just the concept or design in a pilot project. In home, inside the home, actually, the design also very advanced with some kind of, as you have in Europe, that they call home display devices installed in home, that from the home display you can read lots of messages, and you can also control lots of things such as the temperature, humidity, and including the window curtains, etc., etc. So this is, of course, also in a pilot project, but in the future, probably in a further stage, they will implement more and to see that how to realize the full functionality designed.
Thank you very much, James, for your explanation.
Okay, following slides, I would like to give you some pictures about the metering park. This is just the development status in state grade, we call it SGCC. That because SGCC operation covers totally 26 provinces, and their power supply serves around 88% of the total national area. And the power supply of SDCC serves a population of more than 1 billion people. So this is basically the biggest power supply in China and the biggest power utility in the world. About the meter park in general, the total number of customers under the supervision of SGCC is 300 million. And the annual growth rate is around 6%, which is around 18 million customers. And which converted to the number of meters, the annual meter renewal is 10%, around 30 million units. So calculated the total annual demand is around 45 to 50 million units. That's a general picture of the meter park and the SGCC.
James, I would like to make you a question because SGCC is a huge company. We're seeing the numbers here, so it's a very big state-owned company. So what are the chances? How can a small European company try to enter in this market, try to connect, try to get the interest of these huge corporations?
I think there are many opportunities in here, but speaking of the current status of the SGCC, because since several years ago, they start to centrally procure meter products. That means if you want to enter the Chinese market, you need to contact several departments or divisions under the SGCC organization. And for meter products, probably they need to talk to China APRI first for entry approval, and after you do type testing, etc. In the meantime, you also need to make research about meter standards, especially the Chinese standard, because in SGCC they have their own so-called DL standard, which is a little bit higher requirement than the IEC standard.
Thank you, James. I think later on we will have also a little time to talk about standards.
Yes, okay. This picture shows you that the development summary of past 3 years. From the picture, you can see that in the past 3 years, the total procured amount of meters, smart meters, are higher than the planned amount. But one thing that I would like to mention, that the total procured amount of meters do not include the needs of rural power network, because in the past 3 years, rural power network is not the key areas for the state grid to invest. But the rural area power network will be the future key areas for investment. And for the future years, that I would like to mention that for the next year and the 13th 5-year plan, that the investment plan in SECC totals 1.7 trillion RMB, which is equal to 280 billion US dollar for smart grid construction. Of the total, around 34 billion RMB is planned for procurement of smart meters. That means the average annual spending allocated smart meters will be 6.8 billion RMB. So this total spending will purchase around 60 million units of smart meters annually in the 13th 5-year plan. I think for the future business opportunities for EU SMEs, in general, there are a lot business opportunities. I would like to put an assumption that if you have world-class product and technology and wish to expand your footprint in Chinese market, in general, for short-term opportunities, I would say that to market your product to China customers by setting up your own entity, market your product to China customers by setting up your own offices or sales team, or finding sales agents or distributors, cooperating with local companies offering compatible product and solutions. For long-term strategy, as you may aware that to establish your own entity in China is necessary, either wholly owned foreign invested enterprises or setting up joint venture companies, or acquire or merge with a local company already successful in the marketplace. In some time, because in Chinese markets, some Chinese companies are lacking of technology, probably you can also cooperate with Chinese local company by licensing you advanced technology.
Hello, James. Sorry to interrupt you again, but I think talking about the licensing of technologies, what we see is that there are European small and medium companies that they have good technologies. They might have some pilot projects themselves, but they lack on cash flow. They lack on capital. So, do you think there is opportunity for these kind of companies? Do you think it's possible to find reliable partners interested in technology and willing to finance this project?
I think for sure that is of course is possible, especially there are many Chinese local companies. They have done very well in the market. They are familiar with the marketplace, the practices of Chinese utilities, and they are not lack of funds, but they need advanced technology. So I think it's possible to find a reliable partner in local. Especially the IPR situation is much more improved in China, so you do not need to worry about the IPR issue. That's also for long-term strategy, especially if you can cooperate with Chinese partner in China, and you can also export to Europe market with better cost level.
Thank you, James. And also for the IPR, they have the IPR SME Help Desk, another EU project founded, so they can rely on the information from them.
Okay, thank you. For the speaking of the barriers for EU SMEs and how to handle that, I think in the past you have lots of experience about the cultural differences, and especially business cultures and traditions. I think that's not difficult to understand. That the important thing is you need to be aware that different culture, different traditions, and different perspectives, people probably will have different behavior. Okay, I will not mention much about this. And another point is about communication effectively in China. Probably you also have lots of experience to hear about that. I think most important thing is to realize that the Chinese people probably see things from different perspectives, and watch and listen is better. Especially how to listen is first thing. Yeah. I think the important thing is for a European company is to do market research before entering the Chinese market. In my opinion, market research is the first thing to do for international company to do a business in the Chinese market, because this is a big country with big potential, but in different areas the requirement, the practices are different. On the other hand, that to a new company, the clearer the market picture is, the easier that you are able to develop a sound market strategy. On the other hand, I would like to mention that to identify appropriate people to consult, especially for European companies. Probably you are familiar with the well-known consultant company in Europe or in the US, but sometimes they do not have first-hand information. So it's better to consult with local industry insider who have the updated information and who know the practices in the utility industry. So in my opinion, the second-hand, even third-hand information is risky. So in general, to be smart and save time and money, when you talk with a local industry insider, you can get lots of insights and analysis of the local market development and the trends.
Thank you for your comments, James. I think that's very important. I think that's what that's our motto at the EU SME Center. We try to companies to get ready for China. And also one thing that you mentioned, and especially in this sector, I think you need the local partner for the language. It's very important.
Yeah.
If you're going to procurement, like you really need the Chinese and the experience of the locals in China. So yeah.
On another hand, I would like to mention that if you plan to enter the Chinese market, probably you also need to make lots of research about the local national standard or industry standard. You need to have full understanding that what your current product differentiates from the market needs in China. You cannot use your European standard just sell in the Chinese market, because probably there are some of the functionality or features are not suitable for the Chinese market. So before that, I think it's necessary to have a full understanding of that. Even in the Chinese market, that especially in the power industry, that the IC standard basically is full accepted in the Chinese power industry, but sometimes that in the power industry they have their own industry standard. They call DL standard, which is a little bit higher in requirement, a little bit higher than IC standard. In the meantime, that they also need to analyze that the challenges and threat. Especially, you need to be aware that the competition from the local company, and the local company they normally will compete with very low price. That kind of barriers you also need to be aware.
Also, going back again to the standards, can you have some insights about the CC stamp? And maybe you can give us an example, for example, for meterings. Like, what's the usual time for a company they want to introduce the product into a Chinese market?
For the Chinese standard, in some areas, for instance, in a metering product, probably some kind of tap testing or durability testing is different. In Europe, probably you think 20 years or 25 years lifetime is normal, but in Chinese market, in the Chinese local standard, they only clarify that 15 years for electronic meters. That's kind of different. Of course, if you produce or supply long life meters, that means your cost will be higher. But in China, that the Chinese local manufacturers follow the local standard, probably their cost is lower. Of course, there are many other areas that probably is different from the IC standard. You need to have full understanding of that.
Thank you very much, James.
Yeah, following that, I would like to mention some of the metering events, especially in the smart metering and smart grid areas. There is one conference exhibition about smart metering, which also co-located with smart utility, including smart grid and smart distribution and smart home areas, will taking place by the end of May in Shanghai. In the other areas that about water utility, gas utilities, and heat utilities, also there are several other conference exhibitions which will taking place in October, and the heat metering already completed. By September, there's one related event called Smart Urban Tech, which is mainly covering the smart home, smart building, also communication technologies, also the integrated metering for electricity, water, and gas energy. So this is also very interesting professionally events. If you have chance to visit China or by the opportunity of your business trip, you can visit them. Another industry medias, there are two print magazines that probably you can be aware that one is Metering China, is the print magazine and covering electricity metering, water metering, and gas metering, also including billing and AMI data management. Also in the content, also cover some areas of these three smart distribution and smart grid topics. Another magazine is the heat metering related print magazine, also covering the metering, AMR, communication, and also have some kind of content about smart heating system automation related. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, James. I think it was very clear that you have a lot of knowledge in this sector, and so we have some time for questions. So I will encourage the audience to speak to us and ask us whatever they want to know. I have actually some questions because during the webinar we have talked quite a lot about the electric metering. But what do you think about other smart meterings, like about water, gas, or heat? What are your prospects for this market?
Okay. Actually, what I presented to you is mainly about the smart grid, smart metering in the power industry, development status and trend and investment analysis. Actually, in China, the power industry is more advanced, well developed, and especially in the past 5 years, the power industry invested a lot. But in the meantime, I would like to mention that in the Chinese water utility and gas utility, especially in the past 6 months, even last year, the Chinese government published a new policy about the so-called the multi-step tariff for water usage and gas usage. That means that in Chinese water utility and gas utility, that there are lots of opportunities for smart water metering and smart gas metering business. Especially in the past 2 years, that the gas metering market and water metering market increased very fast. in general is around 30% every year in growth rate. I mean, on the other hand, I would like also mention that the gas heat metering area in the heating industry in China, because of the heating energy consumption is huge. And so especially the objective of the Chinese government is to save energy of the buildings, especially. So the heating energy consumption occupied big percentage in the building energy consumption. So in the heating area, it's also very potential. You can imagine that business opportunity is very attractive.
Thank you, James. We have another question from the audience. They would like to ask you, what is the typical size of a power plant coming from renewable energies, especially in wind or solar, that is connected to the grid?
That's a good question. Probably I can come back to the slides of this one. Okay. In a wind power, actually, I do not know the details, but I think in a wind power, as you have, we have gone through that the slides on the 16, the wind power, the size of the wind power is 50 kilowatt. I think the main problem for the wind power is the connection or integrated to the main power system. In some areas that in Mongolia or in Gansu province, the SGCC has done a lot to integrate the wind power into the system. I think they got lots of improvements recently, and that's why, as you showed in the beginning, that the wind power grows very fast. I think the growth of wind power in a system means that the wind power already integrated in the system. So in general, the wind power generation is very potential in the Chinese market.
Thank you, James. And we have another question, and this is referring to standards. And this person wants to know if there's any Chinese standards, especially in safety standards for the connectivity of renewable power plants to the national grid. And if you can give us some advice on where these standards can be found, which is the responsible department.
Connecting renewable to the national, yeah. I need to check that for the renewable energy, that whether they have the safety standard already established. Also for wind power, I think for wind power they should have national standard already. But for about safety standard, I need to check that. They should have developed some kind of local standard, but probably it's not officially announced. I need to check that. Yeah,
okay, we will reply later on to this inquiry. And yeah, I think it's time for us to wrap up. So I would really like to thank James for his very insightful presentation. And I would like also to remind you that on next Monday, May 19th, we will have another webinar on best practice for US SMEs participating in the machine tool exhibitions in China, some insights about marketing and intellectual property rights. We are also doing at present a roadshow in Spain. We will be tomorrow in Santander and the day after in Bilbao. So definitely encourage the SMEs in that area to join to our events. So thank you very much again for being with us today, and we look forward to meet you in the following webinars or in our events here in China or in Europe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Is it okay?